From humble beginnings to the reigning champion, this is why fighters are really scared of Aljamain Sterling. Sterling's a formidable force in the world of mixed martial arts, boasting an impressive record of 22 wins and only 3 losses. What's even more impressive is his finishing rate, which stands at a solid 55%. Sterling's proven time and time again that he has the ability to end fights in a variety of ways, with 3 of his victories coming by knockout, 8 by submission, and 10 by decision. One of Sterling's greatest achievements to date is his current 8-fight win streak, which is a testament to his skill and determination as a fighter. His streak began in 2017 when he defeated Augusto Mendez by unanimous decision at UFC Fight Night 103. Since then, Sterling has gone on to defeat a number of high-profile opponents, including Brett Johns, Cody Stamann, and Pedro Munoz. Sterling's streak has not gone unnoticed by the UFC, as he's been rewarded with several opportunities to showcase his talents on the biggest stage. In 2019, he was scheduled to fight Jimmy Rivera at UFC 238, but the bout was canceled due to an injury sustained by Rivera. Not put off, Sterling continued to train and prepare for his next challenge, which came in the form of Corey Sandhagen at UFC 250 in 2020. Despite the challenges posed by Sandhagen, Sterling rose to the occasion and secured a first-round submission victory, further solidifying his status as a top contender in the bantamweight division. The win earned him the Performance of the Night award, and he was hailed as one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. But where did all this success start? Despite growing up in an area with a significant gang culture in New York, Sterling was determined to steer clear of trouble, and instead discovered his passion for wrestling while attending Uniondale High School in 2004. As Sterling's interest in wrestling grew, he found himself wanting to pursue the sport at a higher level. However, he faced academic challenges that prevented him from reaching Division I. Still knowing what he wanted, Sterling enrolled at Morrisville State College, where he continued to hone his wrestling skills. It was during his time at Morrisville that Sterling's path took a turn that would set him up for success. He developed an interest in MMA after meeting the renowned Jon Jones and training on the wrestling team. And it was during this time that he began to find his style. Did you know Sterling's unconventional approach to wrestling earned him the moniker the Funk Master? The nickname has stuck with him throughout his career. This passion just kept growing, leading the young fighter further and further down the road to the UFC. In anticipation of his UFC debut, Sterling was scheduled to fight Lucas Martins at UFC 170, stepping in for an injured Brian Caraway. However, fate had other plans, as Martins wasn't able to fight due to injury, prompting the addition of Cody Gibson to the roster of newcomers. Despite the unexpected switch-up, Sterling remained focused and determined to prove his mettle in the octagon. On February 22, 2014, Sterling made his UFC debut at Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. The fight against Cody Gibson was Sterling's chance to showcase his skills on the biggest stage of MMA. True to form, Sterling rose to the occasion and stole the show, defeating Gibson by unanimous decision in a hard-fought battle. Following his impressive debut, Sterling returned to the octagon on July 16, 2014 at UFC Fight Night 45 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This time, Sterling was pitted against Hugo Viana, a seasoned fighter known for his striking skills. Unafraid of his opponent's reputation, Sterling dominated the fight, controlling the pace and delivering a flurry of blows from the mount position that ultimately forced the referee to call an end to the contest late in the 3rd round. Sterling's performance left no doubt in anyone's mind that he was a serious contender within the UFC. With a start like that to his career, things just kept getting better. In April 2015, Sterling was eagerly anticipating his upcoming fight against Manny Gamburian at UFC on Fox 15. However, Gamburian was forced to withdraw from the bout due to injury, and Takeya Mizugaki was brought in as a replacement. Despite the unexpected switch-up, Sterling remained composed and focused on the task at hand. When Fight Night arrived, Sterling demonstrated his grappling skills and strategic thinking as he tactfully took down his opponent and kept him under control throughout the first 2 rounds. In the 3rd round, Sterling seized the opportunity to finish the fight and submitted Mizugaki with an arm triangle choke, much to the delight of the crowd. In December 2015, Sterling was back in the octagon, this time facing Johnny Eduardo at UFC Fight Night 80. In a display of tenacity and skill, Sterling secured a second-round submission victory with a rear naked choke. Sterling's victory over Eduardo showcased his well-rounded skill set and marked him as a rising star in the bantamweight division. However, Sterling's fortunes took a turn in May 2016 when he faced off against Bryan Caraway at UFC Fight Night 88. Although Sterling dominated the first round, he began to tire, allowing Caraway to take control of the fight in the later rounds. Despite his valiant efforts, Sterling ultimately lost the fight by split decision. A setback that he would use as a learning opportunity to refine his skills and come back stronger. But not one to let the loss go to his head, on April 21, 2018, Aljamain Sterling faced off against Brett Johns at UFC Fight Night 128 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The fight was highly anticipated, as Brett Johns had come into the match with an impressive undefeated record of 15-0. Sterling, who was the underdog going into the fight, knew that he had to bring his A-game if he was going to come out on top. Sterling wasted no time in asserting his dominance, showing off his striking skills early on and taking control of the fight. He was relentless in his pursuit of Johns, pushing the pace and constantly looking for openings to capitalize on. Despite Sterling's early success, Johns remained resilient and put up a good fight, refusing to go down without a fight. As the fight progressed, Sterling's grappling skills came into play as he took Johns down to the mat and unleashed a barrage of punches and elbows from the top position. Johns did his best to fend off Sterling's attacks, but the New York native was simply too much for him to handle. In the third and final round, Sterling continued to control the pace of the fight, landing several takedowns and securing top position. Despite Johns' best efforts to escape, Sterling kept him on the mat and continued to land strikes, racking up points in the eyes of the judges. When the final bell rang, it was clear that Sterling had emerged victorious, winning the fight by decision 5 minutes into the third round. The crowd burst into applause as Sterling celebrated his hard-fought victory, cementing his status as one of the top bantamweights in the UFC. For Sterling, the win over Johns was a significant milestone in his career, as it marked his third straight victory in the UFC. Aljamain Sterling is a fighter that strikes fear into the hearts of his opponents. This was certainly the case as he entered the UFC Bantamweight division. In his first ever championship fight against Peter Yan at UFC 259 in March 2021, Sterling made his mark in the history books by winning the UFC Bantamweight Championship. And he didn't just win it by any means. He won it in an unforgettable fashion. After Yan landed an illegal knee to his head in the fourth round, the match ended, resulting in a disqualification, and Sterling was crowned as the champion. But Sterling's victory at UFC 259 was just the beginning of his journey as the champion. In April 2022, he defended his belt for the first time in a rematch against Yan at UFC 273. The two fighters engaged in a 5-round battle that had fans on the edge of their seats. But Sterling ultimately emerged victorious, winning the fight by decision. Sterling proved that his first title defense was no fluke, as he successfully defended his belt for the second time against TJ Dillashaw at UFC 280 in October 2022. Sterling displayed his dominance once again, winning the fight by knockout or technical knockout in the second round. Who knows where this fighter is headed? But one thing is for sure, he's one to watch. So, from humble beginnings to the reigning champion, that's why fighters are really scared of Aljamain Sterling.